All right, I think we're ready to go. Oh boy. Hey, my name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and this is our Wednesday night portrait class. We get together every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we walk through drawing a portrait step by step together. Yes, you're looking at King Charles here from England. If you're in America, you'll know who this is. Why are we drawing King Charles? Usually we'll draw something more of a random stranger, but right now we have the 30-day challenge going in our Facebook group. And one of the things that people had to do was to draw a picture of King Charles a couple days ago. And one of our members reached out and said they were having a hard time with it and asked if I could help. And I said, well, why don't we draw them for our Wednesday night Facebook or Wednesday night portrait class? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give our best attempt at drawing this portrait of King Charles. So let's go step by step and we will see how we do. So a couple, I want you to know this, that drawing a celebrity is extremely difficult. Let alone drawing a face is extremely difficult when you add the extra pressure of drawing a celebrity of some sort. That's even harder because you kind of have an idea what they should look like. Whereas a random stranger, once you're done with the class, the picture can stand on its own. But with something like this, people already know what he looks like. So by trying to draw a celebrity for a beginner is you are really setting the bar rather high. Another thing too is about drawing people or a celebrity or something. The more times you draw it, the more accurate you're going to get because you start to look closely at little things about them that you didn't notice before. So just know that as well. There was a picture a long time ago I was trying to draw of a celebrity, and I found out like by the fourth time drawing it, I did it quite well. But anyway, so let's give this a shot and see how we do. We are live here in YouTube. If I go too fast, just hit that little heart button. I'll slow down. If you have a comment, I'm looking up here at the screen and can read any comments or questions you have. But other than that, let's get right down to work here. All right, and we're going to go step by step. So let's go ahead. This is a front view of Sir Charles, and if I can, hopefully I can call him that. No one will be offended. But let's go ahead and start just with a sphere. Let's start with a nice round sphere here, just like this. By the way, I'm using my favorite drawing utensil, that being a Crayola color pencil. It's not so much as the color that I'm interested in, but I just really love the lead there. Okay, so here's his forehead. Let's go ahead and establish about where his brow line is going to be. And look at that. Look at that angle I have right there. You see that? That's about the angle that we have. And then right from the center, because this is we're going to draw that center line just like that. Okay, let's come up here. Just maybe I think right about here. This is the edge. That's the edge of his hair. I'm just gonna kind of put that mark on the page right there, and then along this brow line. This goes right through his brow. I wanna locate the two temples. And I take my fingers. You could feel them right on the outside there. And so I'm gonna say one temple is gonna be right about there, and the other one is going to be about there. All right, looking at those, I'm going to come down here and estimate from the glabella, that's right between the eyes there. What is the distance to the bottom of the nose? Not the tip of the nose, the underside of the nose. So we'll come down just about like this, I think. We'll come down just like that. And we take this distance here and we double it. That brings us to the bottom of his chin. So I'm just going to double that and drop that down right about there. And when we're drawing portraits, you always have to remember, don't don't try and draw for lightness. Focus primarily on the construction of the face. How is the face put together? So we have this. Let's go ahead and the tip of his nose. You can kind of see it's like if I take the nostrils and draw a line between the two nostrils, the tip of his nose hangs over that. Do you see that distinction? So I'm going to come in here and really kind of just hit up that ball of the nose, just like that. I'm going to bring that up here. Look, I'm just kind of going along his bridge. And then right there, this is going to bring us right into the glabella, right in here. And I could even add a little value. Look at that right there. And then I want to make this a little bit darker right there, so it creates a coarse shadow. Look at this over here. Let me show you that. A coarse shadow is like, you know, if you had a cylinder like this and the cylinder was shaded underneath like this, you usually want to drop a little darker value right there. This is because the light is bouncing off the ground and hitting the underside of that, you see? That tells our mind that this is round. Well, the same thing happens with the nose. So if we add that element to it, it will look more round. Okay, so let's come up here now and all right, so that's where his eyebrows are gonna go, right? Let's come back down and actually get the wings of his nose. Now the ball of the nose is kind of in front of those wings there. So let's just come over here, a little wing over there, and then we'll do another one over here. Okay, let's get his eye line in. His eye line is going to be right about in here. And then you can kind of see, I'm jumping over a little bit because the more information I could put, the clearer. The front part of his skull, you see that it goes right here from the temple, kind of up, and you can see that it kind of is a nice. It's a bit of an edge here, you see, just like this. So this outer part of the roundness here, we got to cut that away because typically the head is very flat along the sides. So I'm just gonna come down here and kind of mentally kind of slice off those sides just like that. Okay, I'm going to come up now and I've got all that going there. I'm going to go ahead and put in his tear ducts. And if I look at the edge of his wing here, I'm going to use that as a guide. But the tear duct is a little bit inward, you see. So I'm just going to put a little dot right there. Let me come to the other side. What about this? This, if I go straight up, yeah, I would say we're right about there. Then let's get this eye in here. And usually the distance between the tear ducts gives you a pretty good idea of the width of an eye. So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then on this side, we've got, let's see now. 1. Whew. Could you imagine in the old days doing this? And if he didn't like his portrait, if the King of England didn't like his portrait, he'd kill you. Oh boy. We live in different times, don't we? Okay, so I just kind of dropped in the upper eyelids and now the pupils. And now look at the lower eyelids really kind of wrap around that eyeball. You see that? So let's just kind of put this in here. Look how it has that edge of white right there. You see that? Of highlight there. We're going to come back in and work in a little darker values. But really what this is, it's it's helping me because it's bringing the whole, it starts to bring in the whole picture together. And if you squint your eyes, look at this. This gets really dark in here. So we're not going total dark yet, but what we are doing is just putting some value here to help us get the overall picture. Because the more clues we can put in, the easier this will get. Look at this too, is that this nose has a little bit of a shadow here. So I'm just going to drop that in as well. Okay, so if I take the corner of this eye here and create a visual vertical line, where does this line up with the ear? So let's see, if I come over here, it's about, this is going to be his sideburn here, right? There's the outside part of his head, and then his ear is going to line up way up here, and the bottom part's going to line up there. And I'm not doing curves yet. I'm just kind of putting some just marks in that I can make some adjustments later on. One reason why I'm not going all in right now with my dark values is because this pencil is wax based and there's no erasing. So I'm really kind of starting off here with a very light touch, so I can make adjustments. All right, so let's see. Here's the corner of this eye. I'm going to come out here. Yeah, we'll come in dark here just shortly. And I'm drawing look at this. I'm drawing the outline of his hair here, and it's, all right, we'll come in darker here in just a second, and then this big shapes, and I'm thinking of form. How does this all coming together? Keeping it light. Keeping my lines. Looking at the shapes. All right, let's see now. Where's the top of this ear? Where's the top of the ear compared to his eye? Look at, it's above his eye. You see, these are making these like horizontal and vertical relationships. This is part of getting your proportion right. Look at the bottom of his nose horizontally comes across, and there's the ear. And by the way, let's see, where are we right now? We're at 20 minutes in. Oh, so of course I'm going to ask you to like the video, Make sure you leave a comment because that helps get the message out. And if you're looking for extra help, if you really want to take a deep dive into drawing, I have to tell you to join the Daily Draw. It's my Daily Draw membership program. We meet every day for 30 minutes, Monday through Friday. This is our 5th year doing it, and you get incredible value for only $10 a month. Just think about that: 20 lessons, 20 live lessons, and if you miss a lesson, you could always watch the rewind. I'm going to put a link. I'm going to put a link in the comments that will give you a free week to the Daily Draw that you could check out. So as soon as we're done here, I'll put a link in the comments. You could check that out. And if you really want to excel at your drawing, boy, that is the way to go. All right, let's come in here now and work on the barrel of the mouth. So we're going to come down here. Barrel of the mouth is this whole area right in here, just the roundness, right? We're going to get that down here. And you can see that it comes right in here like this. His underneath, and we get his chin here. Okay, we're making our way down. Let's get his mouth in here. Here's the tip of his nose, and now we look for the first thing we want to do is draw the V of the lips, and he has a very shallow V. Very shallow V. And then this side kind of has a bit of a, it's interesting. It has a little bit of a upturn a little bit. But when you draw this, don't draw it as just a line, but in your head, what I want you to do is I want you to think of this skin here. What the skin in this area. What is that? What's going on with that? All right. Then he has this little tip of the you could kind of see it there, and then it quickly doesn't have much for an upper lip. And then the bottom lip has like two, on either side it has like two pads. You see that? And for the record, drawing portraits has got to be one of the hardest things any artist can take on. So you just keep trying. Don't throw the towel in, no matter what yours looks like, because it is not easy. And you know that pressure or that anxiety you might feel. Well, guess what? Guess what? I feel that too. You know why I feel that? Because you're all watching me and I'm a self-proclaimed expert. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is everyone going to think if I don't pull this off? So, those feelings of, look, he's got this little mole here. These are distinguishing marks. And on this side, he's got this kind of a dimple here and then another dimple here. These are, oh, look at that. Look at the big mistake I just made. That mole is right across over here. See, that's where you have to be so careful. But that fear and anxiety, that's just part of who we are as an artist. And you have to kind of fight through that. So you do the best you can. And most important is that you just keep going no matter what. No matter what. And guess what? In time, In time, your portraits will get. Look at this. Here's his. Where's his nose here, Mr. Mole, and then the part of his tie is there, and then look at this. His tie is here. His collar is right there, right? I'm looking at the size of this knot, the Windsor knot. Okay. And then we're just building this. Look at this here. This is the shirt's coming down. It makes a hard right turn, right like that. But then you have the suit. But look at the suit is up just a little bit, and it curves around like this. You see, and then it lays flat, and then we've got this part. I don't know what they call that. The double-breasted part, I guess, right? The collar part. I don't know what they call that. Okay, there we go. That's a first go around. That's not too shabby, right? I'm not sure if that looks like him yet, but we'll see what happens now. All right, so we just did our first pass. Let's come in here now and start adding some darker values. Maybe adding some darker values will help. And look at it, even his eye. If I look at his eye is a dark value. You see that? Because we really got to get this eye like sunken into his head. All right, this is where you start like really making changes in your drawing. Look at this. This is here. And even this little eyelid, I've got it white, so I've got to add some value there to it, you see? And then his glabella here is like, and we can jump over here and let's start thinking of the values that we got over here. Yeah, you start to get a little further along and you just got to throw that eraser away and just kind of keep going down the path that you've kind of like set for yourself. And what will happen is over time, it may not look exactly like him, but it's close. And then this would be, if you were going to do an official portrait of someone, of a dignitary or someone like that, then you would want to draw it multiple times, multiple studies, from multiple angles. And every time you draw it, you would get more and more familiar with the face. So that's important to remember. And you start to become more familiar. I'm going to sharpen my pencil here. And you start adding your planes. Look at that. Get the sides of his nose. And then look at his cheeks, man. He's got those. He's got these crow's feet, and let's not be afraid to add some age to him, because that's who he is, right? So what's key is that you just, if it doesn't look good the first time, draw it again. Draw it multiple times, and I tell you, I think you will. The more times you draw it, the more authentic it's going to look. I will also look at this. I'm using surface lines. Like what does the surface? Okay, as I look in the picture here, wow, this is too light. The whites of his eyes are too white. I gotta pop those back in a little bit further. And this is too. Look at the contrast between these lips and this background here. This is too much. If I really squint my eyes, you see, I gotta darken in that lip there. And this, look at this. This little area is brighter than over there. So I've got to add a little bit of value over here. And I keep squinting my eyes, and I'm checking values now. So like underneath his lip, that should be a darker value. There's a little bit of shadow here, and this area of his cheek should be darker. Okay, what's going on down here? This is a darker value. So and this whole area, I've got this bright white. But if I look at the picture, this area of should not be bright at all, because it's this little section should be brighter than this. You see that in the picture? So I want to drop a little value here to de-emphasize that. Okay, what's going on over here? We got this. And I'm really squinting my eyes here, because this all needs to have more value. And then look at this whole area underneath these lips. This needs more value. And the bottom part of his lip, this needs more value. And right here, see, I'm just kind of going over this picture, and this area needs to be darker. It gets a little bit lighter, and then it gets darker again. This got too curvy on me here, so we'll try and straighten that out just a little bit. So I'm making my way, and I'm using, like, here's another thing I'm using. I'm using the cartoon check. I'm like looking at my picture and then look at my drawing. So I'm over here. I'm just kind of looking real quick. So this should be more straight across. And then his eyebrow. And then we've got these crow's feet, which really kind of, that's helping right there. Let me look over here. Okay, then if I squint my eyes again, now I'm really squinting here. This top part of bridge of his nose is lighter than this part of his forehead. So I've got to come in here like this, and this is where you're really you're comparing the different planes. All right, so look at this. He has some wrinkles here that are really distinguishable for his age. I remember years ago, a friend drew a portrait of my dad, and I couldn't quite figure out why it didn't look like him. And lo and behold, it was because he didn't put the wrinkles in his forehead. And as soon as we added those, boom, it just really kind of quickly dropped into place. All right, we got a darker value in here. So that's really all I'm doing right now is just going through slowly, making decisions, bringing it up. Yeah, this is even needs to go darker here, I think. Now I can tell you right now that I think I've made the nose a little too long. Yeah, there's some adjustments I need to make on this, but again, these are things that would come with repeatedly doing this over and over again. All right, let's see here. All right, let's get this ear in place here. And his hair. Gray hair is hard to do because you don't want to put a lot of lines in here. Because then it will look like brown hair. You don't want that. darker here, I think. Gotta come darker with this shadow. You see, I'm just keep building. I just keep building things up here. Yeah, there's. This would be a good initial sketch that I would use to get more familiar with drawing him. It's like it looks like his brother-in-law. It looks like his brother. I don't. Does he have a brother? Sorry, I don't know my. I don't know my royal family. It's not my politics. But all right, there's some gray here, just like this. A little gray over here, maybe. Not too shabby. I'm kind of okay with how this has turned out. Every time you do a portrait, you just gotta keep at it. Look at that. Now this, I could see in the picture that this eye should have drooped down just a little further. I don't know if I could fake that. But point is that you just keep making adjustments, determining what is your, determining what is your like lightest point, what is your darkest point. It's like I could see in this picture, it has all the elements, but they're sort of twisted a little bit. And the more you draw someone over and over again, those things start to come more into focus. So keep their eye very narrow. Keep their eyes very narrow. Yes. Okay, Russell. Good. So let's see if I can just dark. No, that now. Now that looks like you just got in a fight with somebody. We don't want that. Yeah, that went too dark, but you know what? There you go. It's our Boney Prince Charlie. Okay, there it is. I think I've had enough. I still have my head, and the king has not ordered me to off with his head. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you picked up something there. My name is Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and this is our Wednesday night portrait class. All right, go out there. All the characters pictured up on. I'll have to give that another go.